So I found myself staring at a watch on Reddit of all places the other day, and, well, yeah, I couldn't help myself. It looked really good, searched the code name, and surprisingly found it wasn't all that expensive either. I mean, it wasn't cheap, but it certainly wasn't as much as I thought it might be from looking at it. And it also looked like prime in-the-loop material. So, yeah, here it is. I'll whip it open today and show you the basics. Yeah, really surprised I hadn't heard of this one before. And this one is from Seiko, believe it or not. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really hear an awful lot of fanfare about this one, because supposedly it released a couple of months back, and that's even with me checking these sites super regularly for my newsletter. Now this one online, it looked okay in the stock images, but the photos, the user-generated photos, looked much better, and yeah, this actually looks really good. So here we have it, the SSB479P1. And yeah, something about this retro-inspired chronograph really ticked the boxes for me. Evidently has some Daytona inspiration here, and also maybe a bit of a Speedmaster in there as well with that bezel, but a lot of vintage goodness, and also fairly slim, well, outside of the crystal. Yeah, Reddit, not really a place I usually look for watch inspiration. Often it's just flooded with people bombarding the internet with pictures of their new watch. But I guess in certain circumstances it can come in useful. So yeah, there's the code name if you need to pause it. But the pricing on this one varies wildly. Now in the UK, Seiko don't seem to sell this directly from their own site, but it is available from some of their authorized dealers, and it usually costs about 400 quid. But from loads of the grey market sites, I mean, this can be had sometimes for about half that, and that's for a pretty much brand new release. Now, I did kind of curse myself after not pulling the trigger a day before I did, because I saw it on Creation Watches, this one, for £231. And then I checked the next day and it was £270 pretty much. So I kicked myself on that one, but in the end ended up picking this up on Amazon for about 300 quid, just for the convenience and getting it here quicker for me. Now, as you might have gathered, for that sort of price, this, well, effectively has to be a quartz chronograph of some sort. And indeed, this one is. Well, I think actually it's, even though it's listed as a quartz on many sites, a couple have it listed as mecha quartz. And from what I've seen online, it does seem to be mecha quartz. Certainly feels like a mecha quartz pusher. And then you should be able to reset this and it'll snap to the top center. Can't remember the exact movement that was in this one, but I'll try and leave it on screen if I remember. As for the other specs on this one, well, we have a stainless steel case. And like I said, fairly slim actually, excluding that really domed crystal. Outside of that, not bad at all. Not the best case finishing Seikos these days, at least compared to other options you can get at the same price, but definitely serviceable. And then the crystal on this one, this huge bubble effect crystal, is unsurprisingly Hardlex crystal. And you know what, I'm kind of coming round to Hardlex these days. Isn't as scratch resistant as the likes of sapphire crystal, of course, but you never have any legibility problems with Hardlex crystals. As you can see, this is really nice and clear, despite being massively raised. And I suspect a sapphire crystal as raised as this might be a bit expensive to obtain. Now, could Seiko technically have done something like this with sapphire with a really good anti-reflective coating? For this price, they probably could have, but you know, loads of brands don't. They just go with the Bobby Basic one for the spec sheet. But I do think that this crystal at least contributes to the styling of this piece. Really nice mid-century aesthetic here, and you do get a lot of warping with that crystal, as you can see there. Also like the fact that you got a nice applied Seiko logo, and you're also not stuck with the Seiko 5 logo, so it doesn't just look like one of the entry-level models. And it's even got a nice integrated date wheel hiding here at the bottom right. Kind of blends in other than that, so not bad. Excited to see as well if this will fit me, because it might have a chance. Now, this is another reason I was kind of drawn to it, because it has somewhat faithful sizing too. Never going to be as tiny as a real mid-century watch, but as you can see, 38.7 wide on this one, and then lug to lug 45 near enough, with a thickness that's going to look a bit balloon because of that crystal. 12.8 with it, but without it, it's got like a shelf almost with that bezel. It is much thinner, about 8.5 potentially there. Cool looking watch. This has 5-bar water resistance, as you may have seen on the tag. And what type of case back? Yeah, we actually have a screw back here as well, so you know, might actually last a bit better than that. Certainly should be good enough for day-to-day usage at least. Also have solid end links on the bracelet, which is nice to see. And we've got, not only have we got small links, but we've also got at least one micro adjustment, and that in combination with one another should suffice to get a comfortable fit. That's only really a problem when you got the bigger links. But let's get this on. I want to see if this is going to fit my 6.25 inch wrist, because it may do. There's a look at it on my pretty small arm, and I might just about be able to get away with this. It certainly pushes the boundaries of what my little arm can get away with. At least it is pretty flat and conforming, as you can see there. Not bad at all in terms of gaps under the watch on either side. And also that relatively short lug-to-lug helps as well. I do also think that this watch could be a strap monster. I reckon this would look good on either black leather, maybe some sort of brown leather too. Now, while the design does look really clean, as you can see, I think maybe one area of slight disappointment is just how flat the subdials are. Maybe they could have just done something with them. Not sure exactly what. Wouldn't have to be the typical concentric rings. But in the current state, they do look a little bit flat. Let's set that going, why don't we? But something about this one definitely looks like the more higher end Seiko pieces. I know that the speed timer is a really popular watch, but I think this is better looking than that one for sure, and it being half the price certainly helps too. Also comes in some other colours too that I've seen. I think the navy also looked quite tempting, nearly went for that one. And then there's also a slightly less attractive green and gold version, which does have one benefit of it often being significantly cheaper. I think on the likes of Creation watches, this was like 40 or 50 quid less. So I'll just link to whichever stores I can find this watch on in the video description, because availability is a bit up and down considering it's a almost brand new watch, which does surprise me. Maybe Seiko don't want to cannibalize the sales of their higher end pieces, and well, you can see why. Not sure it fully comes across on camera, but you can see here that the dial's almost got like an enamel-like really glossy tone to it, which helps for sure. Not sure the bezel looks quite as good as the dial, but certainly not bad. And we appear to also have a little bit of luminescence on there too, so I guess we better test that out, eh? Seiko watches have always tended to have pretty good looms, certainly above average at their respective prices. And this does actually have some around the edges too. I didn't really see that, but must be some on the outside of the markers. Yeah, the loom here looks pretty good, fairly stable. I think this is another solid like 7 out of 10 performer in that category. And the styling of this watch, something about maybe the markers or something, really reminds me of this Seiko. I'll put it up on screen. Can't remember, was that part of the Presage range maybe? Those are considerably more expensive than I bought this one for. Oh, and this one also has drilled lugs, as you can see there, so you can actually change this strap out pretty easily, which is always nice on a watch that promises to be as versatile as this one. Overall though, yeah, really impressed with this one. I am excited to give this a test out on a variety of straps. Now this may displace that Jean Kranz as the best Seiko I've seen this year, especially the best value one. And knowing it's got the in-house movement as well, I guess that's also a boon. It's linked below if you want to check it out for yourself. I really appreciate all your support recently on these videos. It means I can keep blowing loads of money on them and trying to bring you the first look at the latest decent timepieces.